Hi, welcome to Infusion Health, the podcast. I'm comedian Cris Patrick, a.k.a. Self-Proclaimed Power Man, and I'm here with my co-host and significant other, Rach.
Hey, guys.
Now, today we got an interesting show. We got Al Morentin, and he's calling from Buckeye, Arizona. Now, Al has glaucoma. He was diagnosed with glaucoma. I'm not sure when, but we'll definitely get more into that. And he has a special CBD formula that he created, and he has to take this CBD. Now, as you know, CBD is a derivative of marijuana. So he has to take this, and if he stops taking this, he can go blind. So we're going to talk about what's going on as far as that, and also the bureaucracy and stuff like that, because some people have been I know of a case where a guy had to move to Amsterdam because they seized his land and all that, and he wasn't growing a lot. He was just growing just for himself, just for his diagnosis, for his glaucoma. And we're going to talk about that. Al, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So you have a special CBD formula that you created. Can you talk about that? All right, let's go back.
Let's know your story.
Yeah, I'm kind of jumping ahead. Okay, you were diagnosed with glaucoma. Take us back. When were you diagnosed with glaucoma?
All right. So the quick version is in sixth grade, I went to the optometrist. He told me I had the markers for glaucoma. I would most likely go blind one day because there is no cure. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward to 30 years old, 1996. My optometrist said your glaucoma is active and you will most likely go blind one day because there is no cure. So it took me from then. I started searching about a couple of years after that, but it took me from then until I was 47, so about 17 years to figure out something that worked. And at that point, I was losing my vision pretty rapidly, and I found something to stop it. And then I figured out how to reverse a bunch of it, So I actually did go blind at one point, completely blind in my right eye. And I figured out how to get my vision back. And that's a specialized formulation that I created. And and then, now I help people all over the country. But I've been working with cannabis since 1987, though, professionally.
Okay, so since 1987, now we all know back in 1987, cannabis wasn't legal. So did you have a special license or whatever to be able to work with cannabis?
No, not at all.
Okay, now like I said in the intro, there was a guy kind of in your same situation. He was just growing a little bit of marijuana just for himself to help with his glaucoma, and not only that, but he went to court. They seized his land and seized everything. He went to court. He had like 3 doctors testify at his court that said, yeah, he needs this. He needs this for his, and he was still found guilty. And he ended up having to move to Amsterdam because as we know, it was legal in Amsterdam. He had to move to Amsterdam to help with his situation.
Right on.
I think it was the same thing as you, was glaucoma.
Yeah. So me, like myself, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and so it's always been more friendly. And in 1995, there was a doctor that actually gave out like personal, not business kind of licenses to run a business, but personal licenses. They didn't expire either. It was a prescription basically that didn't expire. It was Dr. Edelman. He's like a god in the cannabis industry these days, but he took on everybody. Like his office went from full staff to just him behind a window, giving out stuff and, sit across from him in a chair. But yeah, I did get a license from him in 1995. Back then, just be able to burn or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think as far as the marijuana laws now becoming less tight? They're starting to loosen up a lot.
Yeah, it's I'm one of the guys that thinks that it's pretty much everything is overregulated, so it shouldn't even be regulated. It's a plant, it's plant medicine. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's not even plant medicine. It's just feeding your body what it needs to have in order to function properly. Most people are ill because they have what I call an endocannabinoid deficiency. Mm-hmm. Once they get it in them, they suddenly feel better, and that's why it helps so many different things. Is because people just manifest differently. They'll their pain and suffering will manifest in different ways, and pain or lupus or whatever it is, right? And but when you feed your endocannabinoid system that everybody has with cannabinoids, then it creates balance in your body. It's called homeostasis, and you just surprisingly get better, mentally and physically.
So we all know that and correct me if I'm wrong if when saying marijuana, but we all know that it was big use. Marijuana's been around for a long time. African Americans used it. It was real big in the jazz age, and then we had the swinging 60s where everybody was using it regularly, and people were getting put in jail for it and stuff like that. Now 60s, 70s, 80s, and now with the 90s, 2000s, it's starting to become a lot more relaxed. 'Cause we have a lady on our show. I think she did a wasn't Colleen? Is it Colleen? What's her name?
Who?
Grounded Gardens.
Oh, Bridget.
Bridget Pender. Yeah, from
our CBD farmer.
Yeah, she's a CBD farmer. We actually went out to her farm and she grows CBD. And one of the things she said with the marijuana laws getting less tight is that some of these big millionaires like the Bezos and stuff like that can come up and buy up these farms. Give this person $100,000 for their farm. I was like, okay, now you work for me, but then are they going to make it? They're not going to make it less potent, or are they going to make it less potent? So where you buy more and stuff like that. So it's kind of a good thing that it's becoming legal, but then it's a thing that is big pharma going to get a hold of it?
Yeah, that's always the big problem. As far as big pharma, they always try to make a synthetic version, which is always harmful, which and they've already done that. They already have synthetic versions, not just the Epidiolex that was created in San Francisco, UCSF, which costs like $2,800 or more per month to use. But they have other synthetic forms of CBD that are just sold, or was sold up until a few months ago, just commercially, And but they said that it was the DEA or the FDA said that they can't sell it commercially anymore because it is made in the lab, it's synthetic, and blah blah blah. So it's only going into pharmaceutical companies now. But yeah, there always is that. And then on the same side, not of that, or of the line, I guess, is when the big corporations also get in there as well, and they go into production with throughput and the amount of product they could produce in a day, as opposed to the quality of products, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I exist. I've been around since '87. I'm not going anywhere. We're a small but mighty company, and I've been offered $1 million, investments, and just, I give them the card, the papers, and just throw them down on the ground, throw them in the trash can right in front of the people, because like, what do you have to offer me besides money? Can you actually make my business better? And they can never answer that. They just want to leverage me out of my business because, we've been around so long, and we have a name, and we actually, we do good, and they don't want that.
Well, the thing is that, now that people are starting to know the truth about CBD, which is a derivative of marijuana that doesn't make you high, it actually helps with so many health conditions that they are starting to turn it into a corporation. And unfortunately, the small businesses and farmers are coming out of business because they can't keep up with the big businesses. But the thing is that my question for you, I guess, is you found this unique CBD that helps you with your glaucoma. You've turned it into a business. Who else do you help?
What other kinds of like situations?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've been involved with cannabis since 1987, but I've also been involved with holistic health, fitness, nutrition for that long too. I owned a wellness center and gym for 28 years and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a published author. We have productized programs, all that kind of stuff. But so I'm an expert in pain management. Like all different kinds. From neuropathies to to injuries to every kind of arthritis, all kinds of stuff like that. And then we help people just overcome a variety of conditions. The big C word and on down, like with tons of success.
Yeah.
We have success with people, that have epilepsy, things like that. We have a woman that was having grand mal seizures. She developed them in her 30s and was starting to have them every week. And they put her on one medication, and then all of a sudden she was on 6 medications. And her husband said, "What you're turning my wife into a drug addict." And because they wanted to give her another one, and he got really mad, and that's long story short. They contacted me. I put her on a protocol, and she stopped having them, and she's been with us for like 5 years now, and she's only seized twice, and that's when she went off our product.
Okay.
That's because she didn't order it in time, so she went to a CBD store and got something, and it didn't work as well. But yeah, because our stuff is different, and there's a certain care put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you grow your own like Bridget?
No. So there's a problem with growing your own. But, you have every farmer has the best intentions and stuff like that. But I work with people that grow biodynamically, like beyond organic, right? Mm-hmm. And farming is their life, right? Like they don't know how to formulate really. They don't know how to do all this different stuff. They're not marketers. They're not business people. They're farmers, mm-hmm. and that's their passion in life. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, they create their own nutrients. They're this bioorganic nutrients that can be tainted in some way because of organic standards that have been so bastardized over the years. So yeah, I work with farmers in Oregon and in Colorado for the hemp farms. The cannabis farms are in California and in Northern California. But the ones that we work with for the CBD part of our business is from Colorado and Oregon. And there's specific farmers that I've worked with for a while. I go in and out of them because along the way, people, as they start making money, they lose their soul and their quality goes down. So yeah. I'm an expert in quality control, right? Yeah. So and sourcing. So it's not a matter of what strain it is or whatever. It matters what the assays, the certificates of analysis say, and I look at that, and I know that it's going to produce a certain kind of oil with certain kind of traits. Mm-hmm. So it has to be a full spectrum oil. It's like you ever heard of like RSO, like Simpson oil or full extract cannabis oil? Okay. That's all the amazing things you hear about on the internet, like prior to 2018, prior to CBD becoming popular. All the amazing things were mainly from that one extraction process. It's an ethanol extraction from made popular by Rick Simpson, and that specific extraction is what got me to overcome the glaucoma, right? Mm. And I was on that for 3 years successfully, and I had the guys extracting for me. I was doing my wellness center, and I started a marketing company for gym salons and wellness centers, and I was just loving life. And then they lost their soul, right? And they were giving me oil. It got you high because it was high THC at the time, mm-hmm. but it wasn't therapeutically active. They switched something, and they were killing off the components inside. Mm-hmm. Because it's not just the cannabinoid. There's other things inside there, that are inside the plant. The flavonoids, terpenes, etc., that works synergistically, with the cannabinoids and everything else to produce an effect, right? So, and that's exactly what I need. And so that's when I started going blind, taking this stuff, right? And I was like, holy cow! And then I switched. I went to a different extractor in Colorado, and then they owned a company called Open Base. And then they started making stuff specifically for me. And then I was like, okay, I gotta create a company and refine some formulations. So I've been doing supplement formulations since 1992.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I created. So I started creating formulations and testing. I'm the guinea pig. I'm patient zero for the company. And I go blind in less than a week. If I stop taking my stuff, my vision starts to break apart in less than 24 hours if I go without stuff. Mm-hmm. So I know right away if something's working or not. Right. So I'm quality control. I take stuff off the shelf. I don't make a special formulation for me. So I've always been that way. And like I've always been like true to holistic health and true to fitness and true to nutrition and true to our community, and never faltered and never failed them and always provided them with the best. Never just like, I'm doing this over here to look good and feel good and just selling people stuff to make money. I've always been about helping people. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
So you say with the, now we know you take to make the oil, and we've seen Bridget do, you take it and you put it together and you
oil press.
Yeah, you put it in the oil press and you press it down with it has a little heat to it, and then the oil comes out. So how exactly do you take the oil? Do you take the oil? Do you mix it with something to drink, or do you put it on the back of your neck? What exactly? How do you take the oil?
Well, I formulate it into tinctures and capsules.
Okay.
So just to make it easy for people.
In the capsules.
Right? So
capsules.
Yeah, capsules and tinctures.
Okay.
Yep. So that way you can get exact measured dosages, because otherwise there's people that there are some like smaller people, like, cannabis caregiver kind of people, that make like the RSO kind of stuff, and they do little small batches, and it is effective, but they don't have consistently, they have it when their little batch, their little harvest came in and they sell out like that month, or that week that it's made, and then you have to wait 3 more months for them. And I can't wait a day. Right. So, and there's other people like me that so some people take like a lot, like over 1,000 milligrams a day, just to get through certain things. Some people just take 50 or 100, and that's what 95% of the people are. But there's some people like me that depend on it crazily, and those are the people that that are for our company, because they can get it every single day. I have enough to last, a few years. I buy that much in advance right now because of the way the world is.
Right.
I put like so much into our raw materials, because cannabis oils will last. They found cannabis oils like 3,000 to 5,000 BC in these caves in China, and the cannabinoids were so active, right?
Whoa!
So the cannabis oil that's not formulated into anything can last a long time. So I just stocked up. I even put it in different locations in case like a house catches on fire or a lab catches on fire or whatever. I put it everywhere, So I protect myself and our clients that way, so you don't have to because people they'll call me or, and text me or leave a message, when they're on an order saying, I only have 4 capsules left. How long is it going to take to get here?
Right.
They depend on it that much, either for like some kind of, joint or muscle discomfort or something like what I have going on or whatever. And their life has changed. They went from being on the couch to being able to ride their bike or do whatever.
Well, how often do you take it? Do you take it once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day?
I take it 3 to 4 times a day.
Okay.
Most people will take it morning and evening. Okay. Like that's the way to get the best results. There are some people that take it once a day, to help with sleep or whatever, and some people take it as needed. But like the best way to get the best results and to just not have things happen, like preventative maintenance, is taking it morning and evening.
Mm-hmm. Well, like for me,
I've done studies.
Well, like for me, like I work out 3 to 4 times a week, and even Rachel can contest to this. I've never have a problem sleeping when I lay down. but but like she had to go through what is it, radiation. She just had to do one treatment,
brain radiation, and then also had to get dentures at the same time.
Yeah, so she went through that. So she was there was times she couldn't sleep, and I'd walk into the room, I'm like, what? And she was smoking a CBD, and she's like, yeah, she was like, I got to do this to go to sleep. So with somebody like me who works out, what was something you would recommend for like after a workout or something like that?
All right. So with working out, so I'm like, I'm an expert in fitness, and I was a competitive powerlifter and stuff.
Okay.
You know, I've won nationals twice, had 6 state records in California, you know, stuff like that. So I'm super, you know, familiar with workouts.
Mm-hmm.
So before you work out, like if you wanted to warm up and stuff, you would use like we have this thing called Move It, you know, Move It or Lose It,
Mm-hmm.
Move It Sport Muscle Gel. So it's a CBD sport muscle gel,
Mm-hmm.
and you put that like on your joints and stuff, like right before you're going to warm up, and it helps you to warm up, you know, amazingly, so you can like move really well. And then, and you know, get through your workout, have a better workout, all that kind of stuff. But afterwards, you would just do like a little tincture, or it's usually a tincture or a capsule. You know, because a tincture is cool because you microdose. You know, you could do like a smaller dosage. If you're doing so if you're not doing your morning and evening, you would take a regular dose, right,
Mm-hmm.
after your workout.
Mm-hmm.
If you are doing a morning and evening, like a 25 milligrams twice, you know, morning and evening, or 50 milligrams morning and evening, which is the 2 most common dosages,
Mm-hmm.
then you would do like, you know, either like a 25 milligram, or, you know, or even a 12.5 milligram, and you could do that with a tincture just by doing less drops, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of kicks in either end of the day and stuff like that, you know, if that makes sense. But doing that afterwards, that helps you to, so you're not going to get as much muscle soreness. You recover quicker and be able to attack your next workout better.
Okay. Well, one of the things is too is I work in an elementary school, and I know a lot of things. A lot of people get their, you know, because their kids are hyperactive and all that. And my thing has always been like, hey, you know, they're just being kids. So they say, well, to make them pay attention, you know, give them Ritalin. And I'm like, do not give them Ritalin, because that's a gateway into other stuff that they're going to need later on in life. So, would you recommend giving like a light CBD product or something like that for a kid to help him pay attention, or to calm him down, or anything like that for hyperactive kids?
Yeah, it's yeah, it matters how old they are. They could take them all, you know, all the way down to infant. You know, just we have that would be more like a pure crystalline formula. You know, we've had like little babies and like this 1-year-old girl. We were giving her. She was actually in the hospital. She had leukemia, you know, and all that stuff. She couldn't leave the hospital. Her mom was living with her in there. But they over Cedar Sinai, it's in Hollywood. I can't think of the name of the hospital right now, but the doctors and nurses and everything, they would let me go in there with the CBD. This is before it was even federally legal.
Mm-hmm.
They would let me go in there and give it to I had to go up into the room because the mom would not leave that room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so but yeah, so you get it to like 1-year-olds, even less than that, all the way up. A specific case that I could tell you about though is there was a guy in California, Orange County, chiropractor. His mom was in health as well. The boy is 12 years old, and I've worked with the chiropractor for a long time. So, and we're in the Chamber of Commerce together, everything. But the kid was they were putting him on medications, and they put him on medications in the morning, I guess, and they only put him on the morning, and they don't do it in the afternoon or early evening, and the stuff wears off, and they start to lash out, you know, you know, when they're, and so he was starting to lash out and stuff like that at baseball practice and things, and it was a really super uncomfortable, and they just wanted to increase his medication and do all this stuff, but anyways, we put him on the pure crystalline stuff, and you know, the CBD, and so he took the morning stuff, the medication, and then took the CBD just before, pretty much right after he got out of school, before he would start lashing out. And he stopped lashing out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so after about 2 weeks of being on that, he ran up to his mom at practice and said, "Hey, Mom, you know what? I feel really good right now. I just feel really good. I just wanted to tell you that. It's okay. Bye." He went off to practice, and she started crying, and she came to tell me, and she was like texting me and calling me on the phone, crying, and I'm crying. I was like, shit. So then June comes around, or May or whatever it is, May, and he gets out of school, so they took him off the medications that he was on, and just started doing morning and afternoon with the CBD, and he's continued that since, and it's been about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there is opportunities for success there,
And with these stories, and love hearing these stories, what are some ways, or who are people we can contact, and as far as government, as far as the Republicans or Democrats, what should we say to our elected officials as far as supporting CBD?
That's a good question. The thing to look out for is the FDA.
Yeah.
And there is a bill going through right now, though, it's in Congress. So everybody should actually reach out to the people in Congress, in both houses right now, because every decade or so, sometimes every 5 years or so, they try to take out the whole holistic side of health.
Yes.
Not just CBD, but like vitamins and minerals and everything.
Oils, like herbs.
So
take it out.
So that's going on right now. Again, there's a bill going through right now that would make it where basically any decent dosage of any vitamin, mineral, essential oil, anything would be a prescription.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that you could buy over the counter is just so minuscule that you'll get into sickness,
Mm-hmm.
because there's not enough benefit. So there is a bill going through right now for that, and that has to be stopped, or else we'll be like Europe, where things are, like milk thistle is prescription over there. I have friends that work in the nutraceutical industry, have high ingredients, because I use some of those in some of our formulations. I have different stuff like that sport muscle gel and different things I do. Like I'm working with a horse rescue right now, different things like that. But my friend, he has like these really crazy, awesome, like milk thistle, they have their own farms and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And they do all this stuff with it's crazy, awesome extractions and super potency and everything. But like the stuff we have over here, the kava, the milk thistle, all this different stuff, it's a prescription over in Europe.
Yeah.
It's like they're a pharmaceutical company in Europe, they're a nutraceutical company in the USA.
Mm-hmm. So we should definitely talk to our ask our elected officials to support the use of CBD, or
yeah, definitely. And then pay attention to things going on with the FDA, because they're ultimately the ones. Like about 2 months ago, they had a thing saying like we're going to hear, people or whatever, on the validity of CBD and what should happen with it and stuff like that. So every once in a while they'll have something like that where pretty much anybody can just go over there. You have to go to Washington D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
but you could speak on it and tell your story and whatever, and on how it shouldn't be prescription, how it should be, sold to the public, and all these different things.
So, so what happened to the FDA? Because the FDA, as we all know, it's Food and Drug Administration, and they're supposed to be there helping us, watching us. They're for the people. Are they elected by the people, or? But they're supposed to be.
No, they're not. They're not elected by the people, and they're not even government officials that work there. You know, it's a corporation, and now it's a corporation that's just like an arm for other corporations for the pharmaceutical industry. So it's part of the pharmaceutical industry now.
Yeah,
you know,
it's about passing the buck.
Well, that's what I was getting at, because
passing the buck,
because the FDA was supposed to be there for us, but now, basically, is it safe to say the FDA is bought off?
Yeah, they've been bought off since the 90s at least. You know, like for sure the 2000s, where like genetically modified foods, you know, available to the public weren't available or released supposedly, you know, till 1996. So it's different than hybridization. I'm a certified speaker from the Institute for Responsible Technology on genetic modifications. So, but yeah, so there's been an open, like a revolving door from these corporations, you know, like Monsanto and, you know, et cetera, you know, on all the big food corporations, you know, like Nestle and all these other ones, where like the board of directors are the heads of the FDA and officers at the FDA, and, you know, different like high level people at the FDA. And then when they, you know, they either worked there beforehand either on the board or high level at a pharmaceutical company or at a nutrition company or food company.
Yeah.
And then or when they leave the FDA, they go over and they're now suddenly on the board or whatever, and rewarded for all the stuff they did for those corporations while they were in the FDA.
And also too, I didn't mean to cut you off, but also too, some of those modified foods that you said that they legalized here, they were illegal in other countries, but here they could sell them here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they were illegal. Like in Europe, it was, you know, like they stopped with the genetically modified foods, and that's why like getting fertilizer from Ukraine was so important, because they're the only country where you could get the non GMO kind of fertilizer, you know. And but that has changed though. That changed last month, where GMOs are a free for all now in Europe and everywhere.
Yeah,
like the EU made it totally legal for all genetically modified foods to come in.
So definitely, people, when you're out there, you got to read the labels and start looking at some of the stuff that you're buying, and be very, very aware of what you're putting into your system. Well, Al,
also, if holistic is working for you, take a stand for it.
Yeah, definitely stand up for holistic. And so, Al, this has definitely been a great conversation. I think it's safe to say to Rach, we definitely got to have him back on, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely got to have you back on.
Right on. Awesome.
Maybe love to come see you out in Arizona sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
But thanks a lot for joining us. This was great conversation, and I'll let Rach close us out.
All right, you guys. History is born on lines of on lines of hate. On here, we're trying to build lines of love and teach you guys about how to be your best advocate, even in holistic, even in CBD. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot.